There are certain figures in history who transcend their art form. They become myths. Living Rorschach, tests onto which we project our own ideas of genius, rebellion, and truth. And for more than 60 years, no figure has been more mythical, more enigmatic than Bob Dylan. His voice a gravel road leading to the soul of America. His lyrics a cryptic map of the human heart. We have analyzed his every word, debated his every move. But the one subject he has guarded more fiercely than any other is the one that truly defines him as a man: his children. For 15 years, the world's most legendary and enigmatic songwriter had a secret daughter he managed to hide from the entire world. She is just one of the 6 hidden lives of Bob Dylan's children. We know the voice that defined a generation. But what about the voices he raised in silence? In this video, we are peeling back the layers on all 6 of Bob Dylan's children, a group of individuals who have navigated one of the most complex legacies in modern culture. Their stories are a fascinating, deeply human study in identity, privacy, and the long, profound shadow cast by a cultural giant. We will explore the life of Maria, the adopted eldest daughter, who witnessed the whirlwind from the very beginning and chose a path of quiet dignity far away from its chaotic center. We'll dive into the world of Jesse Dylan, the firstborn son who found his own powerful voice, not through a microphone, but through the lens of a camera, becoming a celebrated director who shapes the stories of our time. We will pull back the curtain as much as is respectfully possible on the deeply private lives of Lea and Samuel Isaac's 2 children who made the conscious, radical choice to escape the spotlight, entirely a feat of profound intention in a world that never stops watching. Then we will closely examine the incredible journey of Jakob Dylan, the son who dared to step into the very same arena as his father, becoming a Grammy-winning, multi-platinum rock star in his own right with the Wallflowers. And finally, we will uncover the most untold story of all, that of Desiree, the daughter whose very existence was a closely guarded secret for over a decade, a testament to her father's desperate desire to protect her from the very world that worshipped him. I've spent an incredible amount of time piecing together their stories, sifting through cryptic, lyrical references, cross-referencing timelines from in-depth biographies like Howard Soons's Down the Highway, and reading between the lines of rare interviews and scattered public records to build the most complete picture possible. This is not just a list of names. It's a deep dive into the human cost and the quiet triumphs of growing up Dylan. Number 5. Maria Dylan, the anchor in the storm. Before Bob Dylan was a father to his own biological children, he became a father through choice, through love. But how do you navigate life when your new stepfather isn't just a man, but a global phenomenon? A voice that everyone on Earth feels they have a personal claim to. This was the strange and sudden reality for his first and eldest child, Maria Dylan. Born on October 21, 1961, Maria Lowndes was the daughter of the stunning model Sarah Lowndes and her first husband, magazine photographer Hans Lowndes. When Sarah and Bob Dylan married in a secret ceremony in 1965, Dylan's world was exploding. He was at the zenith of his creative power and public influence. Yet his most profound act during this period may have been his quietest. He legally adopted Maria, giving her his name and raising her as his own from the tender age of 4. Maria's childhood coincided with one of the most pivotal moments in Dylan's life. After his infamous 1966 motorcycle accident, which he would later describe as a necessary escape, Dylan retreated with his new family to the bohemian enclave of Woodstock, New York. He was seeking a life of domestic tranquility, a shield against the madness of his own fame. Maria, along with her younger siblings, who would soon follow, grew up in this strange bubble of intense celebrity and fiercely guarded privacy. She was the eldest, the one who remembered a life before Dylan, and she now found herself at the very center of a cultural whirlwind. even as her stepfather tried to build a fortress of normalcy around them. She witnessed firsthand the price of fame, the endless stream of pilgrims at their gate, the constant intrusion into their lives. Perhaps because of this, unlike her younger brothers, who would later flirt with or fully embrace the public eye, Maria consistently and with great intention chose a life of profound privacy. She has never given a major interview about her upbringing. She has never written a tell-all book. Her story is not one of rebellion or public achievement in the conventional sense. It is one of quiet dignity and a steadfast focus on building her own family on her own terms. She found a life partner who understood the complexities and absurdities of the music world when she married musician Peter Himmelman in 1988. Himmelman, an accomplished and critically acclaimed singer-songwriter himself, has provided through his own work and rare comments small, respectful glimpses into their family life. It is a life centered around their 4 children, a life of creativity, faith, and stability that stands in stark contrast to the often turbulent world of her youth. Maria's silence is in itself her story. Her choice is her statement. She represents the side of the Dylan legacy that values normalcy, family, and peace above all else. She experienced the pinnacle of fame from the inside and made a deliberate, lifelong decision to walk away from it, to protect her own children from the pressures she understood all too well. In a family often seen as a constellation of brilliant, erratic stars, Maria Dylan has been the anchor. The firstborn who found her own definition of success, not on a stage or a screen, but in the quiet, everyday act of living a full and private life. Transition tone, thoughtful, creating a bridge. Maria chose a life of quiet dignity away from the chaos. But for Dylan's first biological son, the allure of the creative world his father dominated was impossible to ignore. However, he would find his voice not through a microphone, but through a camera lens, shaping the visual culture of an entire generation in his own unique way. Number 4. Jesse Dylan, the storyteller's son. How do you communicate with the world when your father is arguably the greatest verbal communicator of his generation? Do you try to emulate his language, or do you invent a completely new one? For Dylan's firstborn son, Jesse Dylan, the answer was to pick up a camera and show the world what he saw. Jesse Byron Dylan was born on January 6, 1966, at the absolute apex of his father's creative powers. He arrived in the world between the seminal culture-altering albums Highway 61, Revisited, and Blonde on Blonde. He was quite literally born into the whirlwind. His childhood in Woodstock was, by his own account, both idyllic and unconventional. He grew up surrounded by legendary artists. Members of the band were like uncles. But his passion gravitated not towards music, but towards visual storytelling. He attended New York University Film School, a clear declaration that he would forge his own creative path. His career began not in the world of esoteric art house films, but in the very heart of popular culture, the music video. During the height of the MTV era, he became a go-to director, crafting iconic videos for a staggering range of artists. He directed Tom Petty's classic It's Good to Be King, as well as videos for Lenny Kravitz, Elvis Costello, and even his own brother Jakob's band, the Wallflowers. He had an innate knack for creating compelling visuals that served the song without overwhelming it, a skill perhaps honed by a lifetime of listening to a master lyricist at the dinner table. Jesse then made a surprisingly successful transition into feature films, directing mainstream comedies that became box office hits. He was the man behind the camera for the wildly popular American Wedding, the third installment of the American Pie series, and the Will Ferrell family comedy Kicking and Screaming. This phase of his career was crucial. It proved he could connect with a mass audience on his own terms in a genre completely removed from the high art and cryptic poetry of the Dylan name. But perhaps the most interesting and defining chapter of Jesse's career is his most recent one. He founded the media production company Wondros, a company with a clear and powerful mission. Wondros is a global creative agency that focuses on creating content for nonprofits, philanthropic organizations, and socially conscious brands. He has worked with some of the most influential organizations on the planet, including the Clinton Global Initiative, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and MIT, helping them tell their stories to the world. In a fascinating turn of events, the son of the counterculture icon who once railed against the man has become a master of using institutional and corporate tools to effect positive social change. He has interviewed presidents and Nobel laureates using his refined skills to tell stories about science, health, and human rights. Jesse Dylan didn't inherit his father's singular voice, but he clearly inherited his conscience. He has reinterpreted the Dylan legacy of social commentary for the 21st century, swapping a harmonica for a high-definition camera, and proving that the Dylan spirit of questioning the world and pushing for a better one can be expressed in more than one medium. Jesse found his purpose by telling other people's stories on a global stage. But for some of his siblings, the biggest challenge was simply figuring out how to write their own story, away from the public's prying eyes, choosing a life of almost total radical anonymity. Number 3. Lea and Samuel Isaac Dylan, the ghosts in the machine. What if your birthright is a global spotlight, but all you truly crave is the shade? In a family defined by a name known in every corner of the earth, 2 of Dylan's children made the radical choice to become ghosts in the machine. Lea and Samuel Isaac Dylan. Born in July 1967, Lea Dylan is perhaps the most enigmatic of all the Dylan children. In the age of the internet, where every life leaves a digital footprint, Anna's is almost non-existent. And that is entirely by design. There are no public interviews, no official photos past her childhood, no social media presence. Her life is a closed book. Scant reports from years past have suggested she is a painter or an artist, but these have never been confirmed. Her story is one of a successful and almost miraculous escape from the celebrity machine. Samuel Isaac Abram Dylan, born in July 1968, has lived a similarly private life, though, with slightly more of a connection to the family business. He is a musician, a gifted one by some accounts, and has reportedly played in several bands over the years, always avoiding any use of the Dylan name to gain attention. He is said to be a talented songwriter and guitarist, but he has chosen to pursue his passion on a local level for the love of the music itself, rather than the all-consuming pursuit of fame. He is married with a family, and like his sister Anna, has prioritized a life of normalcy and peace. The stories of Anna and Samuel are powerful not for what we know, but for what we don't. They represent the immense, often crushing difficulty of forging an identity under the weight of such a name. Their decision to live private lives is in many ways more radical than seeking the spotlight. It required a conscious daily effort to avoid the cameras, to turn down the interviews, to politely decline the offers that must have come their way, and to simply be. They are a testament to the idea that one can be adjacent to monumental fame and choose not to partake. Their success is not measured in awards or album sales or headlines, but in the quiet, ordinary lives they have so carefully and successfully built for themselves just outside the frame. Transition tone, building energy, leading to the most public story. While Anna and Samuel chose paths of deliberate obscurity, their younger brother was about to step directly into the brightest, most unforgiving spotlight imaginable. Armed with a guitar, a soulful voice, and a name that was both a golden blessing and an undeniable curse. Number 2. Jakob Dylan, the son who forged his own sound. How do you sing your own song when your father's voice echoes through all of modern music? How do you even begin to write a lyric when your father won the Nobel Prize for Literature for his... This was the monumental, almost impossible challenge faced by the youngest son of Bob and Sarah Dylan. Jakob Dylan. born December 9, 1969. Jakob Luke. Dylan grew up during a period of immense change for his family. He directly witnessed the painful dissolution of his parents' famous marriage, a searing experience that was famously chronicled in his father's heartbreaking 1975 masterpiece, Blood on the Tracks. From an early age, he was drawn to music, picking up a guitar and starting to write songs. But he was acutely, painfully aware of the shadow he was born into. He moved to Los Angeles and formed his band The Wallflowers in the early 90s. For years, they struggled, honing their sound in the clubs of the city's burgeoning rock scene. He rarely, if ever, mentioned his father determined to make it on his own merit. Their self-titled debut album in 1992 was a commercial failure, and the band was unceremoniously dropped by their label. It seemed the Dylan name wasn't a golden ticket. If anything, it was a burden creating expectations no one could meet. Then came 1996. The Wallflowers, with a revamped lineup, released their sophomore album, Bringing Down the Horse. It wasn't an instant smash. It was a slow burn. The single 6th Avenue Heartache started getting airplay. It was moody, poetic, and featured a guest vocal from Adam Duritz of Counting Crows. It was a great song. But then came the song that would change everything. The song that would define them, One Headlight. That song was inescapable. A perfectly crafted piece of American rock music, it was both timeless and perfectly suited for the post-grunge era. It dominated the radio for over a year, spending a record-breaking number of weeks in the top 10. It won 2 Grammy Awards, including the prestigious award for Best Rock Song. Suddenly, Jakob Dylan wasn't just Bob Dylan's son. He was a rock star, a household name whose music was beloved by millions entirely separate from his father. Bringing Down the Horse went on to sell over 6 million copies. Throughout this explosion of success, Jakob handled the inevitable relentless comparisons with a grace and intelligence that was remarkable. In interviews, he was thoughtful, articulate, and fiercely protective of his family's privacy, while still being honest about the pressures of his name. He never used his father as a promotional tool, never rode his coattails. He simply showed up, did the work, and in doing so earned immense respect from critics and peers. After the Wallflowers' peak, he launched a successful solo career, creating music that was more acoustic, more introspective, and closer in spirit to the folk traditions his father helped popularize. Albums like Seeing Things and Women Plus Country were critically acclaimed and showed his depth and evolution as a songwriter. Jakob Dylan's story is a masterclass in navigating a legendary legacy. He neither ran from his name nor exploited it. He simply outworked the shadow lyric by lyric, song by song, until he was standing in his own well-earned light. Jakob Dylan's story is a masterclass in navigating a very public legacy. But even as he was becoming a household name in the mid-90s, another Dylan story was unfolding entirely in secret. A story so well guarded, it would rewrite the public history of the Dylan family forever. Number 1. Desiree Gabrielle. Dennis Dylan. The Secret Daughter. This is the ultimate untold story. The secret child of the world's most scrutinized and obsessed over man. For 15 years, Bob Dylan had a daughter the world never knew existed. A secret kept not out of shame, but out of a fierce, protective love. This is the story of Desiree Gabrielle Dennis Dylan. Desiree was born on January 31st, 1986. Her mother was Carolyn Dennis, a gifted and respected vocalist who had been one of Dylan's backup singers for years. They had married in a private ceremony in June of 1986, and their entire relationship, along with the existence of their daughter, was kept completely secret from the public, the media, and even many in Dylan's inner circle. The decision was a deliberate, solemn pact made between Bob and Carolyn. In a rare statement years later, after the news had broken, Carolyn explained their reasoning with powerful simplicity. They wanted to give Desiree a normal childhood. They had both seen what the glare of fame had done. They had seen the constant pressure, the endless scrutiny, the psychological toll it took on the other Dylan children. They wanted to give their daughter a gift that for Bob Dylan was the hardest thing in the world, to provide anonymity. And so Desiree grew up in a suburb of Los Angeles, far away from the epicenters of Dylan's life in New York and Minnesota. She attended regular schools. She had friends who had no idea that her father was a living legend. She was allowed to simply be a kid. Dylan, for his part, was reportedly a devoted father, though his visits were carefully managed to avoid attracting the ever-present paparazzi. Her existence was only revealed to the world in 2001 in Howard Soons's biography, Down the Highway, when she was already a teenager. The revelation sent a shockwave through the Dylan fan community, but by then the mission had been accomplished. The gift had been given. Desiree had been allowed to grow up outside the cage of celebrity. Today, as an adult, she continues to live a relatively private life, but she has not shied away from the arts. It has been reported that she has been involved in the music and festival community. And photos emerged in 2014 of her marriage, showing a happy woman, celebrating with her friends and family. Her story is perhaps the most fascinating and the most moving of all the Dylan children. It's not a story of scandal or neglect, but a story of incredible paternal protection. It reveals a side of Bob Dylan that the world rarely sees, not the cryptic poet, not the cultural icon, but simply a father using all of his power and influence to give his daughter the one thing his fame always threatened to take away, a normal life. The 6 children of Bob Dylan represent 6 different answers to the profound question of how to live with an iconic legacy. They chose privacy, art, social change, and rock and roll. Each forged a unique path under an impossibly long shadow, creating their own definitions of a meaningful life. This powerful theme of family fame and the search for an authentic truth is something we've seen before on this channel. In a previous video, we explored the tumultuous and ultimately triumphant life of the Queen of Rock and Roll, the one and only, the unstoppable Tina Turner. We delved into her incredible story of survival, liberation, and artistic genius. You can watch that essential story by clicking the link right here. And her family story, marked by both unimaginable tragedy and enduring love, is just as complex. We are currently deep in production on a follow-up video we're calling Tina Turner's 4 Children, The Unspoken Truth. To make sure you don't miss that incredible and important story, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications.